is part two on our discussion about race relations in America in 2025. And I'm going to talk about the article that I found on humanrightswatch.org, HRW, fair use. And leading off from our discussion in part one, this is the second half of our discussion about race relations in America in 2025. And this article is a world report on the website humanrightswatch.org. And on the previous video, we talked about the racial justice, um, the current state of the racial justice in America, the pressing human rights concern, and we discussed the structural racism and other discrimination. And also, we left off on the criminal legal system and okay, just to get a brief review, the U.S. has one of the highest incarceration rates in the world, with roughly 2 million people held in jails, prisons, and immigration detention facilities on any given day, the article states, and millions more on parole and probation. Many children continue to be prosecuted as adults in all 50 states, and the U.S. remains the only country in the world to sentence child offenders to die in prison. The racial disparities persist at every point of the criminal system, including police stops, searches, arrests, charging, and sentencing. And basically, in our discussion, I left off at what I don't understand is why in America everything is judged on the basis of or on your race, like are you white? If you're white, you get a certain kind of prestige, or if you're black. And we all understand that nothing is easy. Nothing in life is easy. No one gets things handed to them. But people just why some question why is there privilege for one group of people over another, vice versa, and the question I ask, why in America that we can, since we're a nation in America, the United States, if you're a U.S. citizen, why we just can't all be called Americans? Why does our government has to keep why the first thing comes before the person has to before a person presents himself, it has to do with race. Why are we judged? Like Martin Luther King said, that they proclaimed that he said, why not judge everyone by their character, not by the color of their skin? You know, and it's the way the institutionalized racism is, like in most countries, they're national. Why in America we're supposed to be the United States of America? We're supposed to be national. We all should be called Americans, not you're black, you're white, you're African, you're Muslim, you're this, you're that. Why not? If you're a U.S. citizen, you're American. Why won't we just all come together in America and we just consider all American? Why are we divided in the United States? And the division is there. If you sit back and look at it, and you look at statistics and you view it from human rights, why is everything so divided in America? And America is supposed to be the land of the free. Why can't we just, the first thing when you in America, the first thing we say that we're American. Why we don't put our nation first before our God-given right? I mean, well, I'll put it this way, before our the way we're born. I mean, the way you're born, be it black or white, the way the Creator made you should not be a reason to be judged or privilege or prosperity. One group gets more over another. We're all supposed to be together in one country. Because if you're, I'll give an example. If you're white, say you go to a foreign country. Are you going to just say, I'm a white person when you come there, or are you just going to say, I'm American? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to call you American, right? And I've heard black people when they travel and they go to different places, foreign countries, the first thing they look at, you're American. So why within the borders of the United States are we so divided? And one of the reasons is because of institutionalized racism that keep, and it's basically what it is trauma, things that have not been resolved from the past, and it's being continued in aspects of the government and institutions carrying on the same thing. And this is 2025. Why within the borders of the United States we can't just consider ourselves American? Why when I see someone come down the street, I gotta say, oh, that's a black person, oh, that's a white person, oh, that's a Muslim? Why not address them as, oh, that's my fellow American? Or well, that's a man walking down the street, and then leave all the other characteristics last. Um, it's nothing wrong with recognizing people diversity or their ethnic background, but but why not address everyone as being human first and then American? Because I'm 50 years old, and I was told, well, like they said, the indoctrination starts in the education system. But back when I was going to school, they used to say, well, this is the land of the free. You could do whatever you want to do. Racism, it ended. It's in the history book. It's over. We're all the same, and this and that. But but the point that they made, we're all the same. Okay, quite naturally, no one is all the same. Everybody has different beliefs. Everybody has different cultures. But why not just the word to say we embrace our diversity, but we are all Americans, And it was said back then that we accept other people's diversity and culture and religious beliefs, and all are free. But it's when you go into institutions, it's a different thing. In healthcare, this and that. It's basically people attitudes. It's basically a continuation from generation to generation, and and even though the times have changed, people still hold on to those same ignorant beliefs. And I say ignorant because it's okay to be proud of who you are, be proud of your family, your culture, but don't view that as view another person. Why not look at other people's differences and embrace their differences? You know, why not accept a person that should be last? As long as the character of that person, as long as they have a good character, and and as long as they accept a peaceful society, you know. But America is divided when you sit back and look at things, and you look at different situations, and it takes you aback, because like a lot of people say, um, during these times it's like a awakening time. You have a spiritual awakening, and then you have a truth awakening. And I think in these current times, people are just waking up to truth. We've been told so many lies from politicians, and people that work in government, a lot of corruption, and like they say, when you're doing the dark, it comes to the light. A lie can only be told for so long when the truth has to take over. And but that's just something I believe when people come together and put the right people in the office, and maybe things will change, because I don't care what your background is, your belief, your religion, we all agree on one thing. We all are human. We all want prosperity. We all we want to take care of our families, and basically we all are human beings. Okay, and let's go back into this article discussing race relations in America of 2025, and believe we left out democracy and the right to vote. Okay, going back to the article, the article talks about democracy and the right to vote. In May, the Supreme Court issued a decision allowing racial discrimination in the drawing of voting maps, dismissing the voices of black voters challenging gerrymandering. In June, in Trump versus United States, justices ruled that former President Donald Trump could not be criminally indicted for at least some of his actions trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The latter opinion established a broad scope of presidential immunity for official acts while in office, a decision with potentially devastating consequences for democracy and human rights if interpreted to give presidents an absolute shield from prosecution for illegal attempts to overturn election results, serious human rights abuses, or comparably egregious misconduct. Now, well, okay, I believe there was some kind of legal activity during the previous election. I mean, it came up that people had ballots that were deceased. Voting boxes came up missing, but I don't believe it was all due to Trump. There was some kind of voter fraud going on by the allegations people were making. But going back to the article, basically what we're discussing tonight is race relations and the gerrymandering. Well, I mean, a lot of the article discusses a lot of things that Democrats believe. I don't believe that there is anybody can vote if you have a driver license, and I don't think that's going to stop people from voting if they have to have a driver license. Um, but they do need to have some kind of rules to keep the election being legal and going through the due process of elections. And but I don't really think that has anything to do with race relations, and it's not hindering black people from voting or any other group. But I do know the Democrats did want the illegal immigrants to vote, but that would break the law, if they're not legal citizens in the United States. So why would you want illegal citizens to vote if they're not finished with the process of being a legal citizen in America? So that's only common sense. And going back to the article, the U.S. continues to deny many people the right to vote because of contact with the criminal legal system. Well, I think, and I agree with that. They do need to improve on that. Just because you have a felony or if you did your time, you should, and you're out and you get out of prison, you should have your rights restored to vote. Because you did your time and you're American, so you should have the right to vote in the elections. While most countries in the world never or rarely deny the right to vote because of a conviction, In April, Nebraska passed a reform that will restore the rights to vote at least 7,000 people with felony convictions. The law was set to go into effect in July 2024, but currently faces legal challenges. Well, I mean, if you did your time and you have a felony, I think that when you get out of jail, if you're reformed, you're not a danger to society. You should have your rights restored as everyone else if you're a U.S. citizen. So, I mean, you should, if you did your time and um, you no longer participate in those kind of crimes that you're convicted of, and you did that time, I think people should be given a chance to start over and be able to vote or be able to get employment, where they can support themselves, because they did their time, they're out of prison, and they're not a danger to society. So I agree with that. They should be able to vote. More than 1 million U.S. citizens, many with disabilities, have restricted political rights due to guardianship. At least 7 states bar those under guardianship from voting. Well, I mean, if you have a disability and if they have guardianship, I don't understand. If you're a U.S. citizen, you should be able to participate. But at least 7 states bar those under guardianship from voting using outdated, sometimes denigrating laws. Despite conflicting, if the person can think for themselves and able to make a decision, I don't see why they won't let them vote. Conflicting with Americans with Disabilities Act and other federal laws, these statutes remain unchallenged in courts. Sexual and reproductive health rights. The Supreme Court's 2022 decision eliminated the constitutional right to abortion continued to have a far-reaching and often devastating impacts on health and lives. At this writing, 12 states had banned abortion and others harshly restricted access. People seeking pregnancy-related health services, including for miscarriages or obstetric complications, experience life-threatening delays and denials of care. Laws forcing parental involvement in abortion continue to harm young people under 18. I believe that if it's a child under 18, parents do have that's in with the family. The parents should have a say so whether that's their grandchild, how they want their that's more like a personal thing. So I'm not, but I don't personally, to me, I don't believe in abortion, but I understand some women. It's basically up to the person, up to the woman, and but I'm not really a heavy supporter of abortion. Stark differences between states led to a surge in difficult and costly travel across state lines for care. Abortion bans and restrictions disproportionately harm Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. Well, an alternative to abortion is birth control, and or abstinence. You can't just not do it. That's like somebody lays some drugs on the table. You got a choice whether to do the drugs or not. Some of it has to. When you talk about the subject of abortion, you have to think about when do women should be accountable for their actions as well as men. And like I said, I really don't support abortion, but I just believe it's up to the individual because everyone has different circumstances. Like they say, it could be health related. That's a personal thing. So that's how far as I go with that. Some states moved to safeguard and expand abortion access. Voters in 7 states Basically, I believe that there are bigger issues in America than abortion because you have so many birth control pills out here, so many birth control devices you can use, or abstinence. To me, it goes to like accountability. I don't think the abortion issue is as big as what some people think it is. Okay, some states moved to safeguard and expand abortion access. Voters, well, I don't know why they threw abortion in this article because I don't know why they had something to do with black people. Now the healthcare field, um, everyone needs healthcare, and they do need to quit with the maternal. I don't see how what that has to do with women of color having babies. Because when you have a baby, that's promoting life. If there's a maternal, if there's maternal health inequities, it has to do with the care of the mother and the child. I don't think abortion has anything to do with that. The maternal health inequities among black people, and well, the highest percentages in black women or other groups. I think the more abortion doesn't have anything to do with maternal health inequities. I don't see how abortion will resolve the problem of maternal health inequities. I would think a pregnant mother, a woman that's pregnant, would need better care. That's what she needs for her and her baby. Okay, and going back to the article, New York joined several other states in allowing Medicaid coverage for doula care. I guess that's for abortion access. Okay, racial disparities in access to healthcare continue to impact women of color. And I've read a lot of articles about the maternal rate, and that has to do with the healthcare system, the racial inequities with healthcare. And racial disparities in access to healthcare continue to impact women of color, and especially Black women in the South. And that's a shame. We all pregnant mothers should have access to care, no matter what your color is. And especially Black women in the South who face disproportionate risk of dying from cervical cancer, a highly preventable and treatable disease. Maternal health inequities remain a serious problem. Maternal death rates in 2022 were significantly higher for Black women, 49.5 per 100,000, than white women, 19. Well, really, it shouldn't be for anybody. I mean, they need to improve healthcare across the board, but I know it's detrimental because of the inequalities of racism in healthcare. That does need to be resolved and have good healthcare for all women of color, whether you're white, black, or brown. Maternal health inequities remain a serious problem. Maternal death rates in 2022 were significantly higher for Black women, 49.5 per 100,000, than white women, 19 per 100,000. Preterm birth rates also remain higher for Black women than for other women. The percentage of people accessing prenatal care in the first trimester of pregnancy declined. Child labor. Okay, children continue to be injured and killed while working in dangerous and exploitative conditions in meat processing plants. Oh, I can't believe this. Is it? I mean, it make you think this is still going on in America. Children working in factories. I thought they had passed a law for minors not to be working in factories. So that's something. I mean, it's been a whole lot of corrupt things going on. Child labor. Children continue to be injured and killed while working in dangerous and exploitative conditions in meat processing plants. factories, and other locations, the Labor Department reported an 88% increase in child labor violations since 2019. As of November, 8 states had enacted legislation in 2024 weakening child labor protections. Why were they weaken it? Congress and Biden administration failed to pass legislation or update regulations to protect children working in agriculture, the deadliest sector for child workers. Boy, that is a shame. And this is in America. Man. Boy, I mean, America has really, the politicians fill their pockets and then America was just slipping away. Okay. LGBT rights. Many, I thought this article was about, well, I guess it's about human rights, so it's the whole. Okay, many LGBT rights, many state lawmakers continue to target the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. Fewer than half of U.S. states have statutory protections prohibiting discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Well, I mean, if they're grown, I don't see a reason for people to. People have a right to live how they want to live, and they have a decision to choose what they want to choose. Um, and that's my opinion on that. The U.S. has failed to enact comprehensive federal legislation that expressly protects LGBT. I thought they were getting all the rights, but okay. Expressly protects LGBT people from discrimination in areas such as education, housing, public accommodation, and federally funded programs. And I don't think anyone should be discriminated against, whether you're LGBT, because a person has a right to choose what religion they want to be in or what kind of belief. But I think the problem with the previous election was they wanted to, you know, they were going overboard with it, with the bathroom, and it mainly was a concern for a lot of people that they were teaching LGBT in the schools to young children, and I think they should be children should make that decision on what kind of lifestyle they want to live when they're older, when they become of age, like over 18. I don't think it should be taught. I don't think children should be taught sex education until they're over the age of, or in high school, or until they're over the age of 18. Really, that should be the parent job to teach the children about sex education. And school is supposed to be a place for education, so you can use those skills to work in the job market, so you'll be able to support yourself. So I think they were overstepping their bounds as far as that, because that ultimately is that discussion is really for people that's over 18. As far as that, but I don't think anyone deserves to be discriminated against. People have a right to choose what they want to do, and I don't have to agree with the lifestyle. Like I say, people have a right to choose what they want to do. It's up to the individual. And I don't choose. I don't judge people. Like I said, I don't judge people religion. It may not be for me. It may not be a path that I want to walk. But I don't lose respect for the person. I judge a person by their character. Okay, the rights of transgender individuals, especially teens, continue to be a political lightning rod in the U.S. in 2024 at the expense of their health and well-being. Well, yeah, I don't think children should get reassignment surgery. I think that should be a decision they make over the age of 18. As of September 2024, 26 states banned at least some of the best practice medical care for transgender children under age 18, and 6 criminalize such care as a felony offense. Well, I mean, a young child isn't even fully developed